going into 2 weeks left in the spring, practiced last night, liked the energy we had, big scrimmage last Friday. I thought we went out and competed. Everything's, as always, not perfect, but I think we played the style of football that we want to play. Excited about where we're at, excited about how the players came out on Monday and did a nice job, good energy. Execution's got to be a little better, but thought they came out and did a nice job.
Thank you, Coach. We'll open up for questions now. We'll begin with Paul.
Hey, Coach. Taylor Hawkins yesterday said that one of his goals for spring was to teach the younger guys to play with greater physicality. Could you comment on the team's physicality and if it's where it needs to be?
Well, Paul, I like how Taylor has taken a role in, from a guy with a lot of experience. I do feel we're coming along in that area. I think Pat McMorris, when you look at him, New Zealand, as a young guy, really still in high school to some degree. I like how they've come out and, we're playing Hawk a little bit of corner, a little bit still at the Warrior or the safety position, trying to get the best 11 on the field. And I think with some of those other corners that, think he's done a nice job being assertive about how we need to play.
And Coach Heklinski a couple of weeks ago spoke about the scrimmage 2 weeks ago and said that they used basically their base sets and said as spring would go on, they would add more and install more. Were they able to do that in this past scrimmage? And if so, how did the kids respond to that?
Well, I think they responded well. Like I said, Paul, everything's not going to be perfect, but I do like how, from an offensive perspective, with what we've installed, some of the different shifts, movements, motions, and then from an offensive standpoint, some of the screen game that trying to utilize our personnel with, I think it's been pretty productive. We're nowhere near where we need to be, but I think there's been a lot of progress made.
Perfect, Coach. Last question for me. You spoke last week about Adonis Brown and wanting to see him for one more week. Do you have an update on how he's doing?
I think, we're looking for more. I think, there's a consistency at all positions and for every guy, when they go out there in that competitive phase, just looking for more consistency on a daily basis.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paul. We'll go to Lee.
Hey, Brady, what's the pecking order at quarterback right now with 2 weeks to go? Has anybody separated themselves or it's still search and look?
Well, no, I don't think it's search and look. I do think that there's great competition, Lee. I think Lucas probably is a little ahead, but I think the way Jordan performed and how he performed yesterday, I think Jaden continuing to, get familiar with some of the system. He's doing a nice job. So, Hacksaw, I think there's a really good competitive fight going on at that position. And really, they got, we went live with them in every drill on Friday during the scrimmage. And they really, it was nice to see how they reacted, who would move up in the pocket, who had their eyes down the field. It really, I think it really helped us. I think it really helped them.
And to follow up to that, how critically important is it for you to have all 15 practices lumped together in a chunk on the calendar, coming out of all the weight room off-season workouts, conditioning? I mean, this is a critical piece of the equation, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. I think you learn a lot about your football team. And spring ball, we got some guys who have played a lot of snaps. You look at Zach Thomas, Cam Thomas, Keyshawn, Godino. All those guys have played a lot of snaps. And as we keep moving forward, we want to still develop those young guys. I know I talked about it a couple weeks ago. When you look at the development that was lost from your freshman and your sophomore, spring only being 6 days a year ago, the different protocols that you had early in fall camp, being 6 feet apart, and the splits of the offense and all that. I think, some of this, obviously spring has really been dedicated to knowing the systems, installing completely, and then also getting as much experience and exposure for those younger players.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lee. Looking for other questions for Coach, and we'll go to Kirk.
Hey, Brady, how do you balance the workload in the spring for the veterans, especially like, say, the running backs? All those guys have been around so much. Do you not give them as much work so you can maybe get a look at some of the younger guys?
A little bit. A guy like Greg Bell, who, he obviously, until he got banged up a little bit, had a really, really good year. I think, when you look at the other guys, Keegan, you look at the Chance Bell, the guy who we've really wanted to look at a little more is Armstead, and I think Jalen's done a really good job. But we'll selectively, Kirk, to some degree. How many snaps? Rep count is important, and particularly if you need rep count to evaluate young guys and rep count to maybe back off some of the older guys.
And does that change at all the last 2 weeks? I mean, how does your focus change maybe the last 2 weeks with fewer practices left now?
Yeah, my focus will change as long as we go out there and practice the way Aztec Warriors should practice. Let me put it that way. If we're playing with the energy and we're playing physical football and I can hear football, we'll scale it down a little bit. But if we go out there and just slop around, there's no reason to scale it back.
Also, I know in normal years they might get 1,000 or more people out to the spring game at the end of spring workouts. Have you gotten any word yet? If anyone at all, any Aztec fans are going to be able to come out?
Well, we're going to really concentrate on the parents of our players. There are going to be some protocols that are very important that we all have to follow, but we're trying to get the parents, and really the California native parents are the ones we're trying to get here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Kirk. We'll go to John.
Coach, was it beneficial at all to move the spring camp back because you got started a couple of weeks later? Did that help in any way, or was that a detriment to you?
No, I think it helped. I think it helped. I think it gave us, John, going back, and you've heard me say it, the development, it also allowed us to get 2 more weeks in the weight room, 2 more weeks with individual drills, conditioning, and everything with Coach Hall. So I think it was a plus for us. And basically because we missed some of that during getting ready for fall camp, as far as in the weight room, on the racks, heavyweight.
And then what changes once spring camp ends? What are the priorities for your players over the course of, the next couple of months before fall camp starts?
Yeah, well, they'll have the NCAA, I think, has done a pretty good job of giving them some time away. So they'll have the opportunity to go home, come back for summer school. Most of them will be here the middle of June, really early June, and then we'll start with the summer program, phase 3 of getting them ready for the season.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it, John.
Thanks, John. We'll go to Kirk.
I think the NCAA is lifting the restrictions on leaving campus to go scouting June 1st. How do you guys kind of deploy for that, and how will this be different given what's been the restrictions before that?
Well, the NCAA can make a national rule, but in the state of California, there are other rules. So, as we go forward, we're not going to have our camp that we usually have, the passing camp, which, to me has always been one of the best camps on the West Coast. We'd get 84 teams in here over 2 weeks. And because of where we're at right now with health and safety protocols and all that, we won't be able to do that. We're looking into other states that are going to be more open, because they will be more open or are more open, where we have a footprint in recruiting to get out to some of those places. That's one way we're trying to look at it and trying to help us on the recruiting.
So I think the state's supposed to reopen like June 16th. Did you guys not consider, well, you probably considered moving it past that, but what kind of went into the ultimate decision for not having like your passing games?
Well, we've and I'm sure you've noticed there's been some inconsistencies in exactly, what you can and cannot do. And for us to get all the invitations out and everything that we wanted to get done for the passing camp, we had a lot of coaches calling, emailing, are you going to be able to have the camp? At that time, we still didn't know what direction we were going, so we hated canceling it and look forward to it next summer. But just from an organizational standpoint, it wasn't going to be able to get it done.
How much of a disadvantage do you think California schools are going to be at recruiting-wise because of what's going on still in California compared to the rest of the nation?
I think there is some, especially when you talk about the unofficials on campus, even with the changes of being able to have official visits in June. I think, obviously it's not what you want, but at the same time, I think when I look at our class that we worked on last year, I thought the coaches did a good job, and we were able to, what we think is a pretty good class. So, I think there's things, Kirk, that other people may have an advantage, but you know what? No one's going to feel sorry for us. So what the hell? We just got to go out and do our job.
Are most of your visits more in the fall than they would be in the summer? Or so how will that impact you if kids can't come in?
Yeah, official visits mostly fall, winter, right? We have not, and I know Coach Long didn't have official visits in June when they changed that rule. And very few teams in the Mountain West really went to that format. So, the unofficials, and we're in a great place, obviously, Southern California and our proximity to Arizona, Nevada, there's an opportunity for unofficials, and that may hurt us a little bit.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kirk. We'll go to Lee.
Brady, last week I think you said that there were 98 players in camp. Has everybody been vaccinated, or what is the number? And all the coaches been vaccinated?
Yeah, from the staff-wise, everybody has. I think, Lee, as you know, we've got almost half our team vaccinated, but that is a decision that, parents and young men, that they have to make that decision that they feel is best for them. And so I'm pretty pleased that, our guys, and we have encouraged, but at the same time, that's a personal decision. there's whatever you think's best, but all the staff has, yes.
And just as a follow-up, if you're saying half, does that mean the other half have rejected it or not accepted it or haven't decided, or is it just you don't have the vaccines to be able to do?
I think what you said, I think there's guys who just haven't decided yet, as much as anything. I think they're still trying to get their information, and I've talked to our team about it a couple occasions, and like anything else, educate yourself about it and then make a decision that you feels best for you. And obviously, we respect that. We've sent a letter out to all our parents, and we recommend it, but that's something that's got to be a personal and a family decision.
Thank you.
You got to hack.
Thanks, Lee. We'll go to Andrew.
Hey, Coach, were there any standout players on either side of the ball during the scrimmage?
And it's a great question. I hate pointing one guy out or two guys out because I thought, Taylor played well defensively. I thought Trent played very well and very aggressive. Thought we could got a little bit more from the front, but we put them in some situations. We went through a lot of plays, and so wanted to see how guys would react when they get a little tired. So from that standpoint, offensively, I think Zach did a nice job, and I thought all three quarterbacks did a nice job.
All right, and then from a head coach's perspective, what's been your biggest takeaway from spring camp so far?
Well, I think how we've come to play every day for the most part. Like I said, execution at times may not have been exactly what we want, but the energy level and the effort and the toughness, which this program was built on, is a big part of it.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll go back to Kirk.
Hey, Brady, a follow-up on the vaccinations. For the players who choose not to get vaccinated, do you think there'll be any repercussions or ramifications just by the way things will break down as far as rules and things?
I don't know, Kirk. I've heard different places, whether you have a mask or don't have a mask once you're vaccinated, all those kind of things. But any concrete rules or things that are out there, I don't know.
Right. I just wondered if you heard anything like, is testing going to be different for the guys who have or haven't? Or anything
Yeah,
like that?
you know what? I got a copy of what the NFL is doing, and it sounds like they, from a staff perspective and people within, have to be all vaccinated for the most part. But I think it's going to be different everywhere you go.